Hello, I'm Wayne Kramer. Welcome to Kramer Farms. Today we are going to install package bees. It is end of April here in Michigan, 2020, so we're in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. Bees are considered agriculture, so we are still operating. We're a necessary business to help pollination, so we are still operating. So last fall, I started with 27 colonies of bees, but the bees went through their own sort of pandemic. They are susceptible to a parasite called mites, varroa mites. They can spread disease through a colony, and they can also drift from colony to colony and infect other colonies. So those varroa mites also carry diseases. They carry viruses of their own. So between that and the mosquito spraying that went on here in southern Michigan to kill the mosquitoes, it wiped out most of my colonies. So 25 of the colonies were wiped out, and I'm left with only 2 this spring. So I needed to start over. Yesterday I picked up 10 packages of bees. Each package is a 3-pound package. So in that 3 pounds there's between 9,000 and 10,000 bees. Then there's a queen in there in a separate cage, so you can start a new colony. So it was quite cold yesterday and rainy, so I just left them in my car for them to stay warm and not get chilled. Bees do generate their own heat. They'll vibrate their flight muscles and generate heat. But while they're doing that, they're also breathing heavy. So when I got up this morning, the inside of my car was all fogged up. The windows were fogged up from their breath. This is also a problem in the winter time. Bees are in there all winter. You need to vent properly the hive to let that moisture out, otherwise it will build up, cause mold problems, and also it can drip down and chill the bees. So you need to have your colonies tight enough that the bees don't get cold in the cold winter, but also vented enough so that that moisture gets out. So last night, as I said, I left in my car. I put a blanket over them to help hold in a little bit of the heat, and left a thermometer under there. So when I came out this morning, it was in the mid 80s in there, 82 to 85 degrees under there. So the bees stayed plenty warm, and I didn't have to bring them into the house. So let's go take a look at those bees. So these bee buses are a little nicer than the wooden ones that we used to get bees in. These have the ability to open up the ends here to just dump the bees out easier. Before, the only way to get the bees out was through this hole in the top. So you take the food can out, and then you had to shake the bees and get them all out of the hole. They didn't really like that very much. So someone developed these cages to help. So in here, like I said, is the queen cage. So we're going to try and give you a quick view of that. These bees on the outside are not getting out. They are actually trying to get in. So they're called the hitchhikers. They came with the packages and came all the way from the apiary on the outside. So if we slam these bees down, you can see in there, look inside, you can maybe be able to see that queen cage in there that's hanging next to the food. Alright, we made it out to the bee yard. I keep my bees on pallets like this. This allows me to move them around with a tractor if I need to. Bees need to be off the ground to prevent predators like skunks and raccoons from getting into them. The skunks eat the bees. The raccoons do get into these feeder jars and steal those. So the entrances I've got blocked up. This jar will be full of sugar water to feed them. That's blocked off. This is an entrance reducer. It has a small hole in it. When I install new packages, I put some grass or something like that in there to keep the bees in this box to start out with. They slowly chew their way through that in a day or so and be able to get out. So what I have set up here is a kind of a double box for installation. The bottom box has the frames in it. This top is empty. I've taken the cover off of this. This is called the inner cover. It's got a ventilation hole in there. Down in here are the frames. I saved as many frames as I could from last year. These have already been drawn out by the bees. They're fully drawn out combs. This is a new comb. I date these frames for when I put them into use. It's recommended you replace them every few years because the wax will absorb toxins from the environment, pesticides, things like that. So it's recommended that you throw them away every few years. So what we're going to do is put the queens in here. We'll lower the queens in somewhere in the middle, then dump the bees into this box. This empty box up top kind of acts like a funnel, keeps the bees from flying around too much. This is Benjamin. He's my son. He'll be helping me out today put these bees in. So let's get going. So we practiced with these. Ben is taking off the candy board. We found that the candy is not in the queen cages. So Ben is going to slam these, or open this up a little bit. Other end, other side, there you go. So these, like I said, these cages open up on the end. So Ben is going to open this up to start with. Open it up a little bit. But not enough to let too many bees loose. So he's got it loose now. Now he's going to slam the cage down, knock the bees to the bottom of the cage, then open it up quickly. Now take that queen cage out and close it back up. Just yank. Close that. Alright, so these queen cages, sometimes the queen will come in a larger cage. She'll have some attendants in there with her. This is just a single queen in there. There's a cork on here. So this is meant for directly releasing the queen. You'll pry this cork out. You could release her directly in there. But we're going to use the slow release method, and we're going to install this candy thing in there. This will let the bees chew through there. It takes them a day or two. Then that queen will be able to escape through that empty tube. So we'll carefully remove this cork. And puts the candy in there. Got it. Alright, so we got that in there. The queen is not injured. So we're going to put this in between the frames, kind of hang it in there on the top, leaving this screen open. The bees will feed the queen through those bars for a couple days until she gets out. dump in the bees, slam them down again, and dump them out. Take the food container out. Done. Alright. So we'll put this cover back on. See. So we're going to try a slightly different technique with this one. We're going to not shake the bees out. As you can see, when the bees, when you shake the bees, a lot of them fly all over the place. So there's bees everywhere. So we'll try a little different technique of just inverting this cage. Ben's going to do the shaking, get the queen cage out of there quickly. And he's going to lock it back up, lock that end door in there. We will get the queen candy in. Take this cork out. And get that in there. Ooh. Sorry, queen. Alright. We'll get that ready. She doesn't look too much worse for wear. We will prop her in there between those frames and leave that open. Ben's going to shake that down. We'll take the food can out. We'll set that in there. Ben's just going to turn it upside down, and we will cover that up, let the bees kind of find their own way out towards that queen, and see how that works. I'll come back to those in a little while and see if the bees are all out. Welcome back. Well, this is about 2 hours later from when we installed these packages. You can see we filled up the feeders, so the bees are already into those. They're already getting their honey, they're getting their sugar water out of there. So they're quite hungry after the long trip. So the grass had already come out of these. But you can see the bees are coming in and out. There's some flying around, orienting. When bees come to a new location, they fly around in ever-increasing circles to orient themselves to where their hive is. So they'll start out very close here, just looking around, and they'll make bigger and bigger circles over a few days and make their way farther and farther to be able to find honey and be able to make their way back. So this is one of the colonies that we tried the modified technique of putting the bees in there. See, it's not working out so great. The bees are not going down to the frames. They're still kind of everywhere in here. They are on the feed jar. So we're just going to close this one back up and see how that goes tomorrow. Check them out again tomorrow. So this is one of the colonies where we dumped all the bees in. It looks very similar inside. But you can still see they're not all settled in. They're still going around the sides. As night comes and the temperature drops, the bees will all start moving down in, and they'll cluster around the queen. See the queen cage in there, and they will keep her warm. So in a day, probably tomorrow or the next day, I'll come out and we'll check on those queens, see if they've been released, and also take these top boxes off so the bees don't lose heat from all that extra space in there. Well, we're back at the house. We had a successful day in the bee yard. All of our bee packages got installed, and looks like they're all settling in. getting in there, cleaning out the comb, starting to orient themselves to their new location. So it was a good day, beautiful day to be a bee, and thank you for watching. If you like this video, hit the like button down there in YouTube. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also give us a like back there in Facebook. So again, thanks for watching, and thanks for visiting Kramer Farms.